She dramatically tossed her hair over her shoulder and gave a look that was so sultry it could only come from hundreds of years of practice. I was getting a little too old to pull off this body for much longer. If anyone took the time to do the math, they would have seen that I've been running the company for 43 years. I may not look as young as Missy with her blue pigtails and micro skirts, but I sure as hell don't look like I'm in my 60s. Mila snorted a laugh. At most, Victoria looked about 35, the same as Mila and the rest of the Valkyries she'd met. How did you get away with it for so long? Shouldn't people have been asking questions like 20 years ago? You'd be surprised what people don't notice when they're making obscene amounts of money. I kept their bank accounts full, and they pretended my plastic surgeon was a miracle worker. She gave a half smile as she stared off into the past. This one was a good life. No spouse this time around, which is a blessing and a curse. Plenty of lovers, though, which is fun for a while, but to be honest, I was getting bored by the end. There's only so much money you can make, and so many strangers you can fuck before you don't care anymore. Have you been married before? Mila had never considered that Victoria might have a spouse. It seemed like such a foreign concept for the women in power suits to have someone waiting for her at home. Dozens of times. A sad smile touched her lips. For us, it always ends badly, though. Well, usually. We outlive them all. I was married in this body, way back when I was first reborn. Grady Mays, he was an oil tycoon who lost it all in the Great Depression. Poor guy died penniless. She suddenly laughed. He was way more fun after he lost everything. We would jump boxcars and travel across the country when his latest scheme inevitably fell through. It took a while, but I eventually convinced him we didn't need the money, and he miraculously just let it all go. We eventually bought some land in California, back when it was still nearly empty, and built a house out of trees we cut from the property. Lived out the rest of his days in peace. He took up carpentry. I always thought that was such a weird choice. He was crap with his hands when it came to using anything more than a pen, but he loved it. Was he a magical? Mila asked, completely taken by the charm of the story. Nope. Pea-brain. Mila cocked her head to the side. How old was he when he died? You're wondering why he never figured out I wasn't aging? Mila nodded. He was 83 when he died. Victoria smiled. He never noticed me not aging because he was already 25 years older than me when we married. When you spend enough time with someone, you see them how you see them, regardless of how they look. It's why attractiveness is so unimportant in the long run. I think he knew something was going on, but he wasn't going to complain. She smiled. Besides, we had fun. The talk made Mila think about Finn, and the fact that this would happen to her at some point. But it was so far in the future, she didn't know how to frame the idea. Her thoughts must have shown on her face, because Victoria awkwardly cleared her throat. Sorry, I forget that you're still new to all this. You luckily picked a long-lived race as a mate. Dwarves can live for hundreds of years. You two will have plenty of time to be together. Mila smiled while tossing the device from one hand to the other. I know. It'll work out somehow. They sat in silence for a minute, both thinking about the past and the future. Mila raised an eyebrow as a thought hit her. If you're done with the company, does that mean you're broke again? Victoria smiled mischievously. That's one of the great things about being rich at this time in history. There are so many ways to hide money that enormous amounts can go missing, and no one will notice. Like I said, I was preparing to leave for a while. I have stacks of money hidden away in offshore companies and banks all over the world.